Welcome back. Here we've got day 2 of this 12-week strength program, and today the primary lift was deadlift. As I mentioned yesterday, I've switched to sumo. Again, similar to why I've started squatting a little bit wider. I just feel like it helps to keep my back in a better position and let me train to nearer my maximal strength. So that set there was one of my last warm-ups on 190, I think it was. And similar to the squat yesterday, we were building up to a reasonably heavy single, about RPE 8 again. And then from there doing back off sets, one set of 5 at 85%, and then a further 3 sets of 5 at 75%. So I think here this is my first single of the day on 220. And all I'm thinking about here, I'm still not that used to pulling sumo. I've only done it maybe for like 8 weeks, so not that long. But these felt really good. That was first single on 220 and felt good. So I went up to 225. I was trying to learn from yesterday where I pushed the squat a little bit more than I should have done. So I was trying to stay a little bit more sub-maximal today and just keep a nice tempo and rhythm to the lifts instead of trying to grind them out. And then this is 225 here, and I felt like once I broke it from the floor, it did move quite smoothly. So I was happy to leave my singles there for the day. And then backing down to 85%. So here I went 200 for a set of 5, and this was nearer an RPE 9. This is probably my toughest set of the day. Not the best camera angle, but still new to doing all this YouTube stuff. But yeah, these felt really good. That 225 was the heaviest I've deadlifted since before Christmas. I got 240 conventional, and then I went into a higher volume block and didn't do any heavy single work for a while. So I was really happy with that today. And then I got a bit of a better camera angle here. In that setup there, I'm really trying to take the tension out of the bar, squeeze my chest up as much as I can, and then just thinking about pushing the floor away. Particularly off that first rep, especially people I coach, I notice that once people have got their first rep out of the way, they tend to get into a better back position, but trying to get your back nice and flat off that first rep is the key. I think I did a better job of it here on this second set. And these back offs are on 180, so 3 sets of 5 on that. On my back off sets as well, I normally try and control the eccentric a little bit more, particularly when you're doing heavy singles. If you're like me, you tend to just drop it and not control it back down. And obviously we can get a good training stimulus from controlling that weight on the way back down. So I try and make sure I do that on my back off sets. And then from there moved on to incline bench. And here I'm just warming up on 60. I was really sore from the session yesterday from flat bench, so I wasn't feeling too up for going into incline. But I had a look back at the weights I did last week and just tried to match that. So I built up to 100 for a set of 5 on the week previous on my top set. So I wanted to make sure I at least did that today. But then in this week, I've started to increase the training volume, so it was 4 working sets instead of 3. This is my first working set here on 90, which felt okay. Again, just like as I'm lowering that weight down, I can feel the soreness in my chest from bench yesterday. Still getting used to that higher pressing frequency. And then you can see here I'm just looking back at what I did last week to see what I had to do today. And this is something not a lot of people do. Make sure you track your weights week on week, and you'll definitely see more progress when you give yourself a target to beat each session. Just making sure you deload appropriately or plan appropriately, because you're not going to carry on increasing weight week in, week out forever. So just being smart about how you plan your progressions. I typically like to go through phases of 4 or 5 weeks of increasing my training volume or frequency, and then deloading every 6th week or so. It's really common practice to do it in 4 weeks, but I feel like when you deload every 4th week, it's a bit too frequent, and I don't think you need to deload that often. And then going into my last set here on 100. So again, it was a decent start. You can see again I'm attacking each rep harder because I know it's near my max. And then on this 4th rep here, I felt like I maybe had one more, but it would have been a really big grind, so I just left it there for the day and missed one of the reps. And then, as I mentioned a second ago, increasing the working sets today, so just one back off set of 5 reps back on 95. And then in between this is the only thing I didn't record today. I was supersetting chest supported dumbbell rows, but I couldn't be bothered to move the camera down to the other end of the gym, so I just didn't record it. But that's one of my favourite back exercises at the moment, and something I haven't trained that frequently either, so I feel like I get some good progress on it. And then moving on to the last exercise of the session, I did 4 sets of 10 on Bulgarian split squats. I did 2 sets on 80, which is shown on this video here, and 2 sets on 90. You can see at the bottom of this rep, there's not quite a straight line between my left shoulder, hip and knee, so I need to get my right foot a little bit further forward and give myself more room for that left hip to drop down. And these felt pretty uncomfortable today on my right side. When I go too heavy on these, I tend to compensate by laterally flexing my trunk a little bit, rolling more onto the inside edge of my front foot, and yeah, it doesn't feel too comfortable. It ends up loading my quad a lot and not my hip very much. So in the coming weeks, I'm probably going to back off the weight a little bit on these and make sure I'm not getting that compensation on my right side. And you can see I'm trying to figure out my foot placement, and I'm still too close there. And then this was my last set I recorded, so I did these 2 sets on 80 and went up to 90. And again, I didn't make that correction that I need to, so I still need to get my foot further forward. Yeah, still not quite enough space on that back hip. But yeah, that was the session today. So tomorrow I'm going to have a rest day, and then probably get back to lifting over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday to get days 3 and 4 in before I move on to week 3, where I start to increase the training volume again. In one of the videos next week, I'll break down how my current training is structured to give you a bit more insight into that. But for now, thanks for watching, and hopefully catch you in the next one.